एक क्षण
Namaste,
Short.
India. Today, we bring
Parakram.
you a story of constitutional pride, a journey of freedom to republic, edged in the heart of every Indian citizen. On 26 January 1950, India did not just unfurl its flag, it unfurled the promise of democracy, dignity, and equality. And from 77 years, we are proudly celebrating the Republic Day. And in this episode, we bring you the most historical events of these 77 years of Republic Day events. And this is the big story of the day. The saga began in December 1946, much before India became independent. That means when the Britishers has already decided to declare independence under Indian Independence Act, a Constitution Assembly has been formed. When the Constituent Assembly first met with a historic mission to draft a constitution for a newly independent India, chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the Assembly labored for more than 2 years, debating day after day to shape a document remarkable in its reach and depth. Republic Day is celebrated after Independence Day because while 15th August marks India's freedom from British rule, Republic Day on 26 January commemorates the day of India's constitution came into force in 1950, transforming the nation into a sovereign democratic republic with its own laws and governance structure. Republic Day affirms India's commitment to constitutional values such as justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, going beyond mere freedom from colonial rule. The date, January 26, was chosen deliberately to honor the 1930 Purna Swaraj Declaration of Complete Independence by the Indian National Congress, which became a symbol of self-rule in the freedom movement. Ambedkar, later hailed as the father of Indian constitutional, passionately affirmed that the document would secure every citizen's freedom freedom of religion, equality before the law, endows all discrimination. His words still echo in the corridors of the history as a testament to democratic aspiration. On 26 November 1949, the Constitution was adopted by the Assembly, a moment now commemorated as the Constitution Day every year. And let's hear from his voice from the Prasar Bharati archives.
Mr. Chairman, therefore, I should have thought that in order to make a start, in order to induce every party, every section in this country, it would be the act of greatest statesmanship for the majority party even to make a concession to the prejudices of people who are not prepared to march together. And it is for that I propose to make this appeal. Let us leave aside slogans. Let us leave aside words which frighten people. Let us even make concession to the prejudices of our opponents. Bring them in so that they may willingly join with us on marching upon that road, which, as I said, if we walk long enough, must necessarily lead us to unity. And if I therefore, from this place, support Dr. Jaikar's amendment, it is because I want all of us to realize that whether we are right or wrong, whether the position that we take is consonance with our legal rights, whether that accords with the statement of May 16th or December 16th, leave all that aside. This is too big a question to be reduced to the position of mere legality. It is not a legal question. I say leave aside all these considerations and make some attempt whereby those who are not prepared to come will come. Let us make it possible for them to come. That is my appeal. In the course of the debate that took place, there were two questions which were raised, which struck me so well that I took the trouble of taking them down on a note paper.
3 months later, on 26 January 1950, the Constitution came into effect, marking India's transformation from dominion under the British Crown to a sovereign democratic republic. At the Darbar Hall of the then Government House, now Rashtrapati Bhavan, the republic was officially proclaimed. Shortly after 10 a.m., the nation was declared a sovereign republic, a moment that turned decades of struggle into constitutional reality. Dr. Rajendra Prasad then took oath of India as first president, unfurling the national flag to a thunderous 31-gun salute.
The day India became a republic within the Commonwealth was certainly historic. Beneath portraits of Gandhi and Mr. Nehru, the High Commissioner, Mr. Krishna Menon, read the proclamation at India House.
India, that is Bharat, shall be a sovereign democratic republic.
The High Commissioner then made and signed a solemn declaration of his allegiance to the new republic and addressed the gathering.
2.5 years ago, the British Empire passed power into the hands of the Indian people. We became an independent country, and today, by the proclamation of our Constitution, made by our own people in the exercise of the wisdom and the determination and the collective responsibility, we have set the formal seal to the inauguration of that freedom in the form of a Constitution.
Later, at the reception, he welcomed the many guests, who included Lady Mountbatten. Mr. and Mrs. Attlee were there, and Mr. Anthony Eden. The occasion was undoubtedly a happy augury for future relations between the British and Indian peoples.
And that was the moment a new India is born. From King George VI the Emperor of India. The title went to a common man of India. Yes, that is correct. A common man today, now, since 26 January 1950, is the new king of India, and this is called Republic, and in other words, the Sovereign Socialist Democratic Republic. On 26 January 1950, a proud new chapter drawn for India. And further, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was sworn in as the first President of the Republic of India at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Moments of the Constitution came into the force, and the nation became Sovereign Democratic Republic. A veteran freedom fighter, leader of the Constituent Assembly, and symbol of unity, Prasad's oath marked the final transfer of the power from colonial rule to the people's rule. With a 31-gun salute and cheers echoing across Delhi, his leadership embodied India's democratic aspirations and commitment to justice, liberty, and fraternity, ideals that continue to inspire generations. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you the oath ceremony of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. And finally, the moment of celebration has arrived, and what was also a celebration of India's internal and international friendships. The first Republic Day parade featured President Sukarno of Indonesia as the chief guest, reflecting India's global resonance even in its infancy as republic. Thousands lined in streets of Delhi celebrating unity in diversity, a hallmark of Indian democracy since the very beginning. Republic Day 1951 marked a significant step in India's democratic journey as the nation celebrated its first anniversary of republic with renewed confidence. The celebrations reflected a young republic settling into a constitutional identity just a year after adopting the constitution. The chief guest was King Tribhuvan of Nepal, symbolizing India's early emphasis on neighborhood diplomacy and regional friendship. The Republic Day parade showcased India's armed forces, cultural diversity, and administrative unity, reinforcing the authority of the constitution across the country. Coming amid the preparedness of India's first general elections, Republic Day 1951 highlighted the nation's commitment to democracy, popular sovereignty, and peaceful constitutional governance.
Amid scenes of unforgettable splendor, Delhi celebrated the first anniversary of the Indian Republic. A huge concourse of people witnessed the President's ceremonial drive along Kingsway. The parade by the armed forces, at which Dr. Rajendra Prasad took the salute, was watched by a large and distinguished gathering. Earlier, the President presented 4 Paramveer Chakras for gallantry during the Jammu and Kashmir operation. 2 of them were awarded posthumously. Captain Ram Raghubarane was the proud recipient of the Paramveer Chakra, the highest award for gallantry. Havildar Karam Singh also received the Paramveer Chakra in person. After the presentation ceremony, units of the armed forces, headed by heavy tanks, marched past the saluting base. The smart turnout of the officers and men and their soldierly bearing won repeated applause from the jubilant crowd. Members of the Indian Navy followed the infantry units. After them came the representatives of the Indian Air Force, the youngest arm of the nation's defense services. They were followed by mechanized units of the Armored Corps. Mounted guns and other military vehicles trundled along the parade ground. The pomp and pageantry that was princely India added to the picturesqueness of the scene. There was a famous Jaipur horse, which has won laurels on many a battlefield. Here is the well-known camel corps from Jaisalmer. While the parade was in progress, more than 100 aircraft of the Indian Air Force zoomed past.
Fast forward to 1961, a historic chapter in our parade's journey as Queen Elizabeth II was invited as the chief guest to India's Republic Day celebrations. It was a remarkable sight, a British monarch attending a sovereign's republic ceremony just over a decade after independence. This parade was also among the first to be captured in color footage, immortalizing India's pomp, culture, splendor, and diplomatic stature on the global film reels. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing we should remember is, in those days, you are going to see this particular video and you will be seeing an immense crowd, lakhs, and entire India has welcomed Queen Elizabeth II, and she toured India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and in those days, of course, Bangladesh was East Pakistan, but millions of people in those days welcomed Queen with a warm hands. And this is very unique thing, because among those people who has welcomed the Queen, there might be people who have lost their loved ones in the freedom struggle. But still, Indians, forgetting that bitter past, has welcomed the new friend in the form of the British monarch. Her father was called the Emperor of India, the last Emperor of India. And after India has become republic, the common man is the leader of India. Of course, you have the posts like President and Prime Minister. But now, in the year 1961, just after a decade of independence, the new King of India has welcomed the new monarch of Britain. It is indeed a spectacular sight.
strahlenden Tageslicht war klar, dass dies der denkwürdigste Jahrestag der jungen Republik Indien werden würde. Fast 3 Millionen Menschen sahen die Königin und den Herzog, als sie mit Präsident Prasad, eskortiert von prächtig uniformierten Lanzen, zum Paradeplatz ritten. Wie seltsam muss es für alle anderen Nationen gewirkt haben, dass das republikanische Indien und Großbritannien heutzutage enger miteinander verbunden sind als je zuvor. Und doch sind es die Bande der Freiheit, die sich an diesem glorreichen Tag in Hülle und Fülle manifestierten. Ihre Majestät wurde von einem alten Freund in Premier neu begrüßt, als der würdevolle 76-jährige Präsident für Said von Prinz Philipp heruntergeholt wurde. Das waren stolze Tage für jeden Inder. Der stolzeste Mann von allen war sicherlich Dr. Prasad, Oberhaupt der Republik, für die er während eines Großteils seines politischen Lebens gearbeitet und gelitten hatte. Und was für ein großartiges Schauspiel die Inder heute bieten. Sie marschierten an der Salutbasis vorbei, auf der Regimenter stationiert waren, deren Namen Teil der britischen Militärgeschichte wurden. Heute führen sie die tapferen Traditionen der alten indischen Armee fort und sind darin stolz, sie fortzuführen. Die Mädchen der St. John's Ambulance Brigade standen den Männern an Eleganz in nichts nach.
That was the first available color televised event, of course not in India, because India has televised the first ever Republic Day in color way back after 2.5 decades in the year 1984. And in this particular period, India has travelled a lot, especially after 1991 economic reforms by Dr. Manmohan Singh. The face of India has changed. Once upon a time, America was not in good terms. And United States President's visit was very, very rare. But since the year 2000, from the days of Bill Clinton, every US President is visiting India. And in the year 2015, a very rare event has happened that President Obama, the then US President, has visited India second time during his tenure and was called as an chief guest for the Republic Day. This was probably not expected couple of decades earlier, but the 1991 reforms and change of India's stature in the international level has made this particular event possible. Every United States president is now visiting India, and every Russian president is also visiting India. The friendship, the enmities or the diplomatic relations of course changes by time to time. But the moment why we should be feeling proud is that India is on the terms that every nation, including the top developing nations, are looking onto us for their opportunity. US President Barack Obama made history as the first US head of the state to be invited as a chief guest in the year 2015 in India's Republic Day parade. Amid rhythmic march pasts and cultural tableaus, his presence symbolized the deepening bonds between world's largest democracies and showcased India's evolving role on the global stage.
Showcased its military might, marking the Republic Day celebrations in New Delhi as US President Barack Obama attended the event as the guest of honour. The 66th Republic Day, marking the day when the Indian Constitution came into effect in 1950, is usually the occasion for India to parade its Soviet-style military strength to the world. Amid unprecedented security measures in the Indian capital, with about 50,000 personnel being deployed across the city, Obama became the first American president to be the chief guest at India's Republic Day events. Incidentally, most of the missiles and machines that moved past during the display were of Russian origin, though some of the US equipment were also showcased. The indigenously developed surface-to-air medium-range missiles, dubbed Akash, and weapon-locating radar, both developed by India's Defence Research and Development Organisation, were the main attractions at the display. The long-range maritime surveillance and anti-submarine P-81 aircraft, which was recently acquired by the Indian Air Force, and the MiG-29K fighter jets were also on display. For the first time, 3 all-women contingents representing each of India's Army, Navy and Air Force marched during the parade. On the first leg of Obama's 3-day visit, the two countries have already announced a key breakthrough in a civil nuclear deal between Washington and Delhi. The nuclear
Well, one thing we should all remember is even though India's position has changed, United States President has come as a chief guest, but we should not forget the roots. One particular thing we should all remember is every country in this world is very much important. We never know which country will be helping us, which country actually needs us, and that was proven last year when India celebrated its 75th anniversary of its republic in 2025, just recollecting the first republic guest, the President of Indonesia. And this particular inauguration is repeated with the President of Indonesia again called as the chief guest last year, underlining centuries-old ties and the strength of strategic partnership across the Indian Ocean region. As India marks Republic Day 2026, the spirit of this great nation remains unbowed. Across the nation, citizens are celebrating the Republic Day with pride, honoring constitutional values, justice and liberty. This Republic Day, India's choice of European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen as chief guest sends a clear diplomatic message. At a time when global trade faces uncertainty, especially amid renewed U.S. tariff pressures under Donald Trump, New Delhi is deepening strategic alignment with the European Union. The visit underlines momentum behind the long-pending India-EU freight. Beyond ceremony, this Republic Day partnership reflects India's push to diversify the global ties. This Republic Day, India stands tall, a secular democratic republic. Students, veterans and leaders gather tomorrow to salute the tricolor and pledge their fidelity. From drafting halls of Constituent Assembly to the vibrant parades of the Republic Day, the story of Republic Day of India's story, bold, proud and forever free. Jai Hind.